Everybody, thanks for watching. Merkabah Scholar Society members, make sure you guys check your emails. So the video has been sent out for the building a stock portfolio video and also for the meeting for building a stock portfolio. Those two videos have been emailed to you guys. Make sure you check your emails, watch those videos, follow those steps in the videos to begin the course with the stock trading. So make sure you guys check those videos out. We'll get into the rest in the next video. So yeah, put out a video the other day talking about, Trump's policy and what's going on. A lot of backlash, a lot of emails. People say I'm fear mongering and, scaring people and everything like that. The policy is there for you to see. It's all over the news and CNN and what have you. You can see it for yourself. It's not just coming from me, but it gets deeper. The plot thickens for all this. And you got to really pay attention to what's been put out there. This has been, as I said, Kamala was put out there to be misdirection, to just be a distraction. And I figured that out, just from hearing her plan, her policy. Her policy was just too good to be true. And usually when it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. It's just not going to happen. And it's just something that, when we look at the economy, a lot of people are saying, the economy is terrible. And, she's running on basically fixing an economy that she's already in charge of destroying, right? Now, the general consensus on the economy would be that the economy is doing bad. But when you actually look at the numbers, which we'll get into this in a second, the economy has never been better. And it's crazy because it's amazing how the rising cost of commodities, food, can paint a negative picture on the economy. And that's exactly what has happened. So if you look at Kamala's plan, right, what does she want to do? $6,000 to, top child tax credit. So if you had a baby, she wanted to make sure you got 6 G's when you did your taxes for that child in his first year of life, because it's expensive. And everybody who's had a child, especially lately, you understand how expensive it is to take care of a child, way more. So $6,000 tax credit, right? It was that, $25,000 for housing, all kinds of plans and stuff that was going to make life better and driving down the cost of food, right? So what has driven up the cost of food? So a lot of people are clueless on this, but you got to pay attention to what they're blaming almost everything on. First of all, one, there's a worker shortage because of, this. And I'm just going to show this instead of saying the actual word. You guys know what I'm talking about. Because if I say that word, then it's going to be a problem with this video. But you know what I'm talking about. People get sick. So this is what they're blaming it on. So you got to think about it. Workers being sick or what have you, not being able to farm. It was an issue with that. And that basically messed with production prices and manufacturing costs and so on and so forth, deliveries, all kinds of stuff they blaming it on. So that's one of the things that they're putting towards the rising cost of food. Also, you got to look at the war. We know that had a major impact on energy, right? So rising cost of energy, problem with energy, that's going to trickle down to so many different facets and cause, prices to go up. Now, we use that word inflation, right? Inflation, the economy is doing bad, recession, so on and so forth. And the crazy thing is when you go and look at the numbers, because again, general consensus is the economy is doing bad. The economy is not right. Something is wrong. But when you actually go and look, the economy's been doing great. It's been doing great. And it's never been better based on the numbers. Now, me personally, I'm always a skeptic. I'm a conspiracy theorist to the fullest, but I'm also intelligent. Now, before the election, right? One, this is the thing. If you're watching the news and paying attention to the consensus, paying attention to the popular opinion of what's popular and what people are talking about, and not actually going and look at the data and listen to economists, which you had all the economists, right? You had Nobel Prize winning economists, Nobel Prize winners saying that Kamala's plan will basically drive the economy up and have the economy doing better than ever following her plan. They backed her plan over everything. They said it was great. But like I said, too good to be true, right? So if you go and look at the data and look at the numbers, the economy is doing great. It's doing really well. And it's been doing well for a long time. So what is the issue? And as I said, food, right? The consumer, the normal people who work and we contribute to all this, when we go out and you go to work and you can't really afford groceries, there's a problem. And then if the consumers, if the regular people, I'm going to say under middle class, because middle class is doing fine. When we start complaining, then there's an issue, because these are the people that's going to go vote. These are the people who is watching social media and paying attention to the news media and having input on everything. This is why this whole thing has been driven up, because it's been those people and not actual economists and people who understand what's going on. So when you look at the economy, right, that's what it's saying. The U.S. economy grew at a solid annual rate of 2.8% in July, August, and September, with consumer spending leading the way, according to the Commerce Department on Wednesday. Here are 4 things to know about the latest report on gross domestic product, GDP, which provides the broadest measure of the economy. Consumers are spending freely. Consumers have long been the engine of the U.S. economy, and that engine revved up in the third quarter. People opened their wallets to buy cars, restaurant meals, and vacations. Consumer spending rose at an annual rate of 3.7%, an acceleration from the previous quarter. The consumer is driving the train, as she has been doing. The consumer is driving the train, as she has been doing, and the consumer continues to power the economy forward, says Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics. And it says, to be sure, not all consumers are spending so freely. Price-conscious shoppers are increasingly looking for bargains. This week, McDonald's reported strong demand over the summer for its $5 value meals, and the personal savings rate continues to fall, dropping to 4.8% during the third quarter. A strong job market helps. Consumer spending is largely bankrolled by a healthy job market and solid wage gains, which have been outpacing inflation for well over a year. Employers added more than 500,000 jobs during the quarter, and unemployment is hovering at a low 4.1%. As long as people have a job and their wages are rising, that's the basis for continued strong spending, Zandi says. Now, when you look across the board, you're going to keep finding this information, right? Saying here, if the United States economy were an athlete, right now it would be peak LeBron James. If it were a pop star, it would be peak Taylor Swift. 4 years ago, the pandemic temporarily brought much of the world's economy to a halt. Since then, America's economic performance has left other countries in the dust and even broken some of its own records. The growth rate is high, the unemployment rate is at historic lows, household wealth is surging, and wages are rising faster than costs, especially for the working class. There are many ways to define a good economy. America is in tremendous shape according to just about any of them. Let's start with the economist's favorite metric, growth. When an economy is growing, more money is being spent, more stuff is being produced, more services are being performed, more businesses are being started, more workers are being hired, and because of this abundance, living standards are probably rising. On the flip side, during a recession, literally, when the economy shrinks, life gets materially worse. Right now, America's economic growth rate is the envy of the world. From the end of 2019 to the end of 2023, U.S. GDP grew by 8.2%, nearly twice as fast as Canada's, 3 times as fast as the European Union's, and more than 8 times as fast as the UK. So if you're paying attention, inflation is at its lowest since, 2020? 2020 is at 1.4. As of now, it's at 2.4. So it's the lowest since 2020 inflation. And, what is the issue? Food costs. Food costs went up about 28%, right? Since 2019, 28%. So it's food costs. And that's been what people are looking to as the economy, not doing so well. We go to the supermarket and then there's an issue because food is so high. But what we're looking at as far as the economy is not the problem. It's not the economy that's causing this. It's those things I mentioned before with the war in Ukraine, right? Energy costs. Then you have to pay attention to all the weather events and natural disasters drives up food costs. Any type of, this thing will drive up cost, right? So this is what they're pointing to as the cause, the reason for the inflation and the reason why stuff is going up. It's not the economy. The economy has never been better. The economy has been doing good. The actual numbers on the economy, it's better than ever. If you actually want to run on the numbers, you can literally look at the numbers and say, prove it. Tell me we're doing bad when a number says this, right? Numbers don't lie. Numbers are right on point. So, if you pay attention, a lot of the middle class are always complaining. They don't have it as bad as the poor, and the poor don't even get a say so about many things. It's always the middle class, the people that's your managers and supervisors or what have you, people that's getting them checks. It's never enough. But the poor is suffering the most because they can't afford those grocery prices, where the middle class can. It's not really a big deal for them, especially if, inflation is low and if jobs are hiring. You got workers. So here's where it's going to get bad. Here's the problem with all that. So the U.S. Census Bureau, the census and a whole lot of researchers and everybody estimate that 90% of the workers that is basically in charge of, farming and anything that has to do with production of foods and goods in this country, a whopping 90% of these people are probably undocumented. So we're talking about your people that's dealing with the produce, the oranges, so on and so forth. I remember one of my early jobs before I went to the military was working for a company called Picachi Brothers in South Philadelphia, right? And Picachi Brothers my mom worked there, my sister worked there, my neighbors worked there. A lot of people worked there because they're always hiring. And they was basically in charge of bringing all of the produce. Came in on a train, we had to unload the train, and the produce went out. I'm going to tell you, almost everybody that worked there, besides us and a few other people, was probably undocumented, right? It was a really labor-intensive job, lifting 100-pound bags of potatoes. My fingers are still super strong because of that shit. And it was a labor-intensive job. And that's the thing. Americans are not willing to do those jobs. So that's one of the things that's contributing to the problem, to the issue. Americans are not willing to do those labor-intensive jobs and other jobs as well that play a vital role in the prices of food. So again, it's people who really high on deportation and everything like that. Again, it's one of the things that's going to drive food prices up. If you get rid of these people who don't mind going out and, pulling potatoes, apples, dealing with, livestock, cow shit and feeding cows and horses and all that, cutting up, gutting animals and pulling out intestines and cleaning bloody floor. Think about it. It's just stuff that people don't want to do, the average American, where you have undocumented or people who want to work, they're trying to feed their family, don't care what it is. They're willing to do it at a low cost. And you have these companies that's willing to pay the money, right? So on one hand, you have the people, middle class and up, who are doing well, working their cushy office jobs and everything is going good for them. And it is what it is. They are looking at it and saying, hey, as a business owner, if I don't want to compete with these people. I want to compete with people that's paying undocumented, and they're, outpacing me or causing a problem for my business. I'd rather it be Americans. So looking at it, you're saying, get rid of these people, then that way my business is going to flourish more and I'm going to hire people and bring them in. But who's going to do those undocumented workers' jobs? Because if they're gone and I own this company and I try to go hire some people to, be a farmhand, to clean up guts and gut boars and pigs and all kinds, to do all that stuff, who's going to come in and do it? Who's going to want to do it? One, for me to get them in to do it, I would have to seriously raise, the wage. I got to pay them 3, 4, 5 times what I was paying the undocumented worker. because to make it enticing, hey, if you want me to go clean up pig shit and horse guts or whatever, you want me to do all this stuff, then you got to pay me. You got to pay me a lot of money, or else it's not going to get done, right? This segued into so much when you really pay attention. It's deeper than this, because then you're going to have the use or, the need for these robots, right? Robotics is going to come in. And then again, poise. If you're following my stocks and everything I was talking about with the market, we're going to kill on this. Everybody that's in society, we're about to make a lot of money. But if you follow on this, you understand why I'm saying certain companies that's on the forefront of this robotics and this technology. Elon Musk already showed you guys the robots, but there are other companies, right, that's waiting in the wings for this to come down. They're purposely doing this, but there's other companies that's waiting to produce these machines that's going to come in and do these jobs, because it's going to be a problem. But first, they got to give America hell, right? That's how you're going to accept it. You don't want to do the shit? Okay, well, tax dollars going to have to pay for these robots to come and do the stuff that you don't want to do. And it's going to be a need for it. And these companies that can build it and put it out, it's about to make a lot of money with government contracts, which I promise you these companies are basically owned or invested by Trump and whoever else who's waiting for this whole thing to hit the fan, right? That's what's coming.